Hi everyone, in today's tutorial we're going to be making this super cute baby pom-pom hat. This can also be used for an adult if you want to make it for an adult, but today we're going to be making a newborn size. There will be other sizes available. I will leave the link to the written pattern in my description down below. So let's start making. So what you need to make this baby hat is your yarn. I'm just using some special Stylecraft Special DK in this blue colour, some scissors, a couple of stitch markers. I just popped mine on here because otherwise I'll lose them, a 3.5 hook and a 4mm hook, a tape measure, a pom-pom maker for your pom-poms, but this is not necessary if you don't want to pop pom-poms onto your hat. I also have a separate video on how to use these pom-pom makers. So once you've grabbed what you need, let's get making. So to start our project, we are going to need some measurements. So I am making the newborn size. I will leave the other sizes. I have a size chart. You don't need exact sizes for this pattern, but I will leave a size chart, which is a head circumference, in my written pattern. I'll also pop it on the screen now if you want to screenshot it so you can see how big to make your hat for the age that you're making for. So we're just going to start off with our smaller hook, so a 3.5mm hook and our yarn, and we are just going to make a slip knot like so. And then we are going to start by chaining 9. So we start with the ribbing and then we turn our hat. So this is the ribbing part. So we're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So once you have your 9 chains, we're going to begin by double crocheting. So this is UK terms, so that's a single crochet in the US, into the second chain from the hook. So we never count the first chain. So 1, 2, so a double crochet into that space. So that's a single crochet in the US. And we're just going to do that all the way along. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if you want to, you can pop a stitch marker in this end stitch. You could also pop it in the first stitch. So we're now going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. If you want a bigger brim on yours, you can just chain more stitches, it's fine. So in this very first stitch, this chain 1 doesn't count. We're going to do a double crochet, just a normal double crochet. That's a single in the US. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crochet into the back loops only, and this is what creates what the ribbon look. So normally you pop your hook through here and you have, let me get this out of the way, 2 loops on your hook. but we are just going to be going into the back loop. So we're just going to be going into this loop here. So just a double crochet into that back loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on this last stitch here we're going to do a normal double crochet, so through 2 loops, not the back loop. So this is what you should have. Chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to repeat this row until you have your desired length for the circumference, which is around the head measurement for your hat. So first and last stitch, always a normal double crochet or single if you're in the US. Any in between stitches are back loops only. So just all the way along. And then your last stitch is a normal double crochet, chain 1 and turn, and then just repeat that normal double crochet, back loops only until you get to the last stitch, normal double crochet, chain 1 and turn until you get to the desired length that you need. So once your band has reached your desired length, let me quickly measure mine. So mine is 31 centimetres, well it's about 32 because I'm not holding it properly, about 32 centimetres. We are going to fold the band like so, fold it in half, and we're just going to join along here with some slip stitches, if I can find the end of my wool. So just make sure each stitch matches up, and I'm just going to crochet some slip stitches. Just to join this all together. Like so. I just tend to sneak an extra one in, just so it's properly joined at the end. Ugh, I'm stuck. There we go. So once you have your band joined together like so, if you just, I don't know what I've done here. We're just going to flip it so that join is now on the inside, and you might have to pop your wool through there because we flipped it over. Just so your wool is back on the outside and the join is on the inside, so we won't be able to see it. So now we're going to swap to our bigger hook. So you want to swap to your 4mm hook. And we're going to double crochet that single crochet in the US all the way around. What I do is I do it in each row. So I'll do one there, one there, one there, one there. So you want to just chain one and then double crochet. Now I'm going to pop a stitch marker just in my first stitch because I'm the world's worst person for trying to find my first and last stitch. So I'm just going to pop this in here. And we're just going to do that all the way around. Single crochet all the way around. Make sure your gaps are even. So I suggest doing it just at the start of each row. And you want to make sure that you have an even number of stitches when you get to the end. So just double crochet. All the way around. So if you want to pause the video, and I shall meet you when we get to the end. So I'm just coming up to my last stitch. So I have, on mine, I have 58 stitches, and we're just going to slip stitch into this very first stitch here. Just slip stitch and then chain one. Now the fun part begins. We are going to be doing the mini bean stitch. We're going to do it straight back into this stitch where we slip stitched into. So to do the mini bean stitch, we're going to pop our hook in, pull up a loop. So we have 2 loops on a hook, and this time we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop. So we have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all 4 of those stitches, and then we're going to chain 1, and that kind of secures that stitch. So pop your stitch marker into that bean stitch here, not into the chain 1. Then we're going to skip the next stitch from the previous round, and then into that next stitch we're going to do the same. We're going to be doing this all the way around. So yarn, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook and pull up a loop, and you'll have 4 stitches on your hook, then yarn over, pull through 4, chain 1, skip 1 and bean stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 4. So I find it easier to turn my hook if I'm pulling through a lot of loops, upside down, chain 1 and skip 1, and we're just going to do this all the way around. until we get back to our starting position. So skip a stitch, insert your hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop. So you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 4, chain 1, skip a stitch, repeat. So if you want to pause the video and get back to me when you have reached the very end, when you're near your stitch marker, and I shall show you how to continue with the rest of the hat. So I'm just coming up to the end of this round. I don't know why I yarned over then. And what I'm going to do is we're going to slip stitch into where our stitch marker is. So into that first bean stitch, not the chain 1. So into that bean stitch. Chain 1. Now we're going to be working into these chain 1 spaces that you can see here, and we're going to be doing that bean stitch again. So we're going, here's our bean and here's our chain 1 space, so we're just going into here. And then pop your stitch marker back in. And we're going to do that all the way around into that chain 1 space here. So our bean and our chain 1 space is here. And again into here. And into here. So if you want to pause the video, and I will meet you when you get back near to your stitch marker. So I'm just coming up to my last space before my stitch marker. And I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into that bean stitch, chain 1, and then for our next round we're going to be working exactly the same into that space, and you're going to keep repeating that all the way along and around until you get to the height that you want. I'm aiming to do mine in, oh, my finger stuck, including the brim, probably about 10 centimeters, and it's about 1 centimeter per row. So I'm going to make mine to that height, but you can make yours however high you want. I'm doing mine for a newborn. So I have now completed the main part of my hat. Let me give it a measure. So it's literally 10.5 centimeters. So once you've got it to the size that you want to flip it inside out. Now if you do it bottom inside and flip it, you shouldn't have to pop your yarn ball through because your yarn will be on the right side. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch to join. So we're going to fold it in half with the working yarn here, and we're just gonna, when we slip stitch, we're just gonna do back loops only. So yeah, let me show you. So we're just gonna work into these back loops rather than slip stitching through the whole thing, just the back loops, because it will give a nicer seam. So you just want to match up each stitch. So the first one can be a little bit tricky because they're kind of like right next to each other, like so. And once you get going, it will be absolutely fine. So just slip stitch into each back loop all the way until you get to the end. So if you want to pause the video and meet me when I get to the end of these slip stitches. So I'm right at the very end, and just make sure you catch those last stitches here, because you don't want to end up with a hole. And then what I do is just double check, put my finger in and double check, and that's right. So chain one, cut your yarn, give that a pull, and if we turn it inside out and give the corners a good push through, and this is what we are left with. Sometimes you have to give it a little bit of a squeeze at the top, but as you can see, it leaves a much nicer seam at the top. It looks really, really neat. So now all you need to do is make 2 pom-poms. I have got a video showing you how to use a pom-pom maker if you need to, and we're just going to sew on our pom-poms into each corner. And once you have sewn your pom-poms on, your hat is good to go. Obviously sew your ends in. So there we go. I hope you liked that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook, on Twitter. You can find our crochet group, Crochet Beginners group, on Facebook. That has over 140,000 members. And you can also find me on Instagram and on TikTok. I'll leave all the links to the socials down below. Hope you have a lovely day, happy crocheting, and see you next time.